Hello everyone, welcome back to another Game Rant video, this time detailing Assassin's Creed Origins open world gameplay. If you haven't checked out our initial video from this hands-on footage, you can check it out on our channel as well, where we cover a bit more of the main story. This time we're going to be going through some more of the open world combat, some of the quests you can pick up midway through the game, I believe, is what was told to us during the event. And just kind of the shenanigans you can kind of get up to with this game, which definitely feels like there are more of them this time than in previous iterations of the franchise. There's a lot more to do. There's just a big, living, breathing world that seems to exist just to be a playground. There's obviously a lot of storyline implications in the side quests, but some of them are just helping folks out because you feel like it, or trying to make a quick buck because you want to buy some new gear. And either of those options are both very interesting for a franchise that has mostly made its name on detailed worlds and gameplay mechanics, rather than just having a huge excess of stuff to do. It's not that the game has traded those qualities out either. The combat is a lot of fun, as you can see here, just trying out some of the new finishers, looting enemies at the end of combat, which is also super exciting for me specifically. It's an incredible addition to a game that already had some addictive components, but with the addition of loot on top of the fact that they have different rarities, there's just another collectible element to the game that kind of impacts your gameplay. Whereas a lot of the collectibles initially in the original Assassin's Creed and in Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, stuff like that, they were mostly cosmetic pickups. So you can see here that I'm running out my bow build. Pausing very dramatically and then not doing anything, kind of my specialty. Just trying to swap through what I was trying to do, which was cycle through bows to see, what they can do. You can see me load up 5 arrows at once with one of my bows, which could have been cool, except the enemy spotted me. What we're doing here is just kind of exploring another one of those settlements where you can not so much liberate it in this one, but just kind of explore and take it over, make sure there's no smugglers just hanging out there, loot them for all their gear, and then move on. The loot system is definitely something I'm gonna earmark as one of the biggest things that's going to make this game compelling. There's just a lot of fun to be had in making sure your version of Bayek, the assassin, protagonist of this game, is fitted out to achieve whatever he wants to achieve in whatever mission you're tackling. And a lot of that can be going to a blacksmith to upgrade your weapons or make sure they're fit for battle. But some of it is just kind of looking for lost treasure and exploring tombs and pyramids and coming away with some really cool named rare items that also have this epic feel to them. The rarer the item, the more likely it is to have this unique name that makes it sound really cool. As you can see, I just picked up something called Heavy Blade. It's not particularly exciting because it's one step up from the most common kind of item you can pick up. So yeah, so this open gameplay is just going to be more of me just kind of fiddling around with the game's mechanics. This was my second time hands-on with the game, so we're looking at a little bit of experience, but still kind of figuring out the control scheme. You kind of get thrown right into the middle of it, so it does take me a while to adjust on this, so my apologies for that, but you will get to see a lot of varied gameplay. You're just trying to hunt crocodiles because their skin is very valuable in the game. You can use it to upgrade some of your gameplay mechanics, such as your quiver, how many arrows you can hold. I'm not sure if that's what the crocodile skin applies to specifically, but that's just an example of something you can do in this game. So yeah, this video will be all open world gameplay. There won't be any main story elements to it, so if you're worried about spoilers, you don't have to be. That being said, our last video did cover some of that, so if you're interested in it, feel free to check it out. This one's just going to be open world gameplay, some side quests. You'll get to see how the side quests are structured. They kind of cycle between either being a one-off, pretty simple task, or a subplot that spans multiple different iterations of the subquest. So there's a lot to be seen there. If the gameplay is jumpy, it's just because I wanted to make sure you're seeing everything interesting that's happening and none of the me wandering around. Although the environment is gorgeous, there is a lot to cover. This is, again, the product of about 4 hours of gameplay. So we trimmed it down nice and short for you guys. Make sure you get to see as much as you possibly can of this gorgeous world. And yeah, so here is a perfect example of one of the side quests that we're going to be doing. It also showcases the detective work that'll be part of the game. Sometimes you're part of a quest where your character needs to investigate what happened using their assassin's vision to analyze the environment, find clues, and then put those clues together to advance the story. This one is a little interesting because in the previous ones I played, I had to find every single clue until I could progress the quest. In this one, you'll notice there are a few clues left over, but because I chose to go in a little bit of a weird order in terms of how I investigated them, I ended up finding the clue that mattered the most before some of the either red herrings or just like the sub-clues, and it advances the quest right away, which I think is a nice touch. You don't have to waste time on some extra frivolous clues if you happen to be lucky enough to find the main one right away. So there's that, and this is me using the Eagle Companion Vision to help analyze the environment I'm in. You can mark certain things on the map you're interested in, whether or not it pertains to this quest or not. In this case it doesn't. I marked a treasure area that I would like to check out after this one. And yeah, so this is just me going through, finding some clues, and this happens to just be the main one. I accidentally stumble across a body right away, and it's it's obviously very surprising, to say the least. I wasn't sure that this was going to be a murder mystery. There was just a missing person, and I thought we'd be trying to bring them back home. There are a few of those quests in this gameplay footage alone where you get told that somebody's gone missing, or they went to work and they didn't come home. You just kind of find them along the road beset by hippos or alligators or sometimes bandits. So to have an actual murder mystery was pretty cool too. So you get to see that unfold. The cutscenes in this game are quite nicely done, both in the sense that they're short. You don't have to kind of sit through a mini movie, and they're impactful. They just kind of get to the point. We don't have to do a lot of meandering around or people philosophizing about what death is type thing. So this is your character deciding that you're going to continue to investigate. An unjust murder does not sit well with this character. So we go try and find the person who the clue they found implicates. You can see the way this environment kind of works is that everything's laid out in a pretty nice order. The map icons are always present, at least in the way I chose to set up the game. I'm not sure if there's an option to turn those off, but it's actually quite nice just being able to find what I want to find and move on from there. Found my quest marker quite easily. This guy just kind of hanging out, not really doing much of anything. And this is an interesting point. You can see that my dialogue with this character starts kind of like we were already having a conversation. Bayek's responding to what that guy was saying to himself. So it's kind of cool that you interrupt him and the dialogue starts there. That was a nice touch. It doesn't feel like the character is just waiting for you to talk to them. In this instance, it almost felt like an organic conversation that could have started somewhere else and maybe had a different response. And we're going to get into some combat here because we have called this guy out for being a bad Roman. So the weapon I favored through most of this gameplay video is simply the best weapon I had at the time, which was a giant axe that was purple, which means it's harder to find, and dealt a lot of damage in each swing, which is important when you are a character or player like me who struggles to hit enemies all the time. It's nice to have a weapon that kind of whirlwinds around the area. So we dispatch Dimnos pretty quickly, and we're just gonna, let the grieving man know that we've avenged the girl, and we kind of go on our way from there. You also get to see how this game has more RPG elements to it. There's going to be experience bonuses, level up screens. It's very exciting stuff for people who just like progression. A lot of games do this quite well, and Assassin's Creed never really tried its hand at it in the way it does here, but it turns out quite nicely. So yeah, we got 1,000 experience from that. The quest was called the Weasel. Interestingly, because the main villains all have animal names as well, but that was not one of them. Here is another one of those settlement type missions that I was discussing earlier. We're just going to kind of infiltrate this bandit camp, see how many of them we can kill sneakily, and deal with the rest of them as they come. This is one of my favorite bows, the one that has the scope, and you can get a lot of ammo easily in this game, so you never feel like if you focus on bows you're actually being punished for trying to do ranged combat. I've noticed some games kind of feel like that. Assassin's Creed certainly doesn't. And then this is me assassinating my enemy. Interestingly, assassinate is only an option some of the time. If you're too low of a level, and you might have seen that in the gameplay we showcased in the previous video, if you try to assassinate an enemy, it actually doesn't kill them. It'll just damage them, and you know, it gives you an advantage in combat, but it's cool to see that if somebody's way stronger than you, there is a chance they survive your assassination attempt and you progress combat from there. So you just see me getting here. This is where I can loot extra ammo. You can stash the bodies in various hiding places the way you always have in Assassin's Creed. This is an aerial assassination. So a lot of the gameplay you've come to expect from the series, combined with some really cool implementations of RPG elements, really do enrich the gameplay. I want to say that I really enjoyed this hands-on experience. I know I've probably stated that a few times, but it's worth stating that, especially when a series is taking a new bold direction in the way they're presenting their game. So I'm happy to announce that at least this hands-on session was a blast, and I'm looking forward to playing the main game once I get a chance. Hopefully I can refine my combat skills so that I'm not just sneaking around trying to snipe people with bows the whole time. The combat actually is pretty nuanced. I think a lot of players will be excited about getting hands-on with the combat and kind of enjoying the parrying system and just how it adapts to the style you want to play, so that you can play it. I see you. This is just going to be me beating up another enemy mob. And then you see one of the finisher animations. I do believe I switched to another weapon later on in this video where you'll get to see a different finisher animation. I think every single weapon has one, or at least every single weapon type. Just a nice touch in a game full of them. So to finish these camps, you have to clear out all the enemies and find the treasure that's hidden there. You see me trying to figure out whether or not I've gotten rid of all the enemies and where I can find the treasure. I'm using the Assassin's Pulse to find treasure nearby. And there's the one I already looted, disappointingly. And here's where I can figure out where the rest of the stash is. But I first have to unlock this door and save this person, who is part of the quest I'm doing. They're a hunter character who is actually going to show an example of how quests can kind of progress through different stages. Now we're going to go save a village after defending this guy. The defense is relatively easy. I've noticed that in a lot of the escort missions, either it's somebody who's totally injured and you're carrying them and you just know they're not going to be any help, or they can actually kind of fend for themselves, which is a nice touch. I've always hated missions where there's just somebody running along beside you that doesn't do anything. It can be kind of frustrating from a player perspective. And this guy is equipped with a bow, so he can help from a long distance. You don't need him to be right beside you. As it stands, we take care of it all on our own anyway. It's kind of how we roll. So here we're just following the character, and you notice this escort is really short. It doesn't force you to just go through multiple mobs and enemies emerging from out of nowhere and really dragging you down in terms of how slowly you move through an area, because the game's forcing you to combat enemies that weren't there and suddenly were. Just one iteration of bandits kind of attacking us because they realize we're trying to escape, and then we're on our way.
The war chief, Fat Homer, took the hungry great ones on.
Now we have to go find the war chief, Fat Homer,
Would you help
which is a very intimidating name. So you see how the quest progressed. The quest updater in our screen kind of gives us a heads up on what's happening. Here's me crashing the party right away, just absolute chaos. You can see that there's mounted combat as well. For those interested, in our last video there was a showcase of the mounted combat. You can use your bow or your melee weapon. And both of them are pretty effective. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but nothing too hard. Or just repetition rather than it being an actually difficult system to master. You'll notice that when I'm fighting, you can see the right button, right trigger prompt in that blue bar at the bottom of the screen. That is kind of like a finisher style mechanic. You can use it, it refreshes during combat, and you're able to execute more powerful moves, faster moves, depends on the weapon you have equipped. I will say that there's no shame in this game in letting some guards try and do some of the dirty work for you. Having played through this game at a low level, where all your enemies are 2 or 3 levels higher than you, the game does really force you to get smart about it. You're not able to just breeze through the game and expect that at a much lower level you can just beat everyone up, no problem. Enemies are resistant to assassinations, they take very little damage from your melee attacks. You have to really plan out your plan of attack before you go in, or you will be punished.
I have learned much from you. You've made me a better protector.
So here we can see this quest wrapping up. I don't know where this guy was. Kind of runs up out of the fields once we've already removed all the bandits from the village. I'm starting to think he might have just been a useless escort after all, despite pretending like he was going to use his bow. So we wrap this up. This is just another one of the outpost gameplay mechanics, but I'll show you this one's a different one. It's not quest related, and there's a lot more enemies to clear out and treasure to find, and you'll notice that later on in this quest, or in this side quest, you can see that there's multiple points of entry. The game gives you different options, so I snuck over a wall and hid in hay for a bit, whistle over a guard, but there's also the option to go through an underground area that I only find later, which would have allowed me to attack from a different angle. And of course there's always the option to run headlong in, if that's your preferred style of gameplay. I mean, we do have a giant war axe, so there's always that. Anyway, so this will be the bulk of the rest of the video, and I've been talking over the audio more than enough already. So I'm going to let the rest of this game just kind of play out. You'll also get to see a couple different nuanced gameplay mechanics later. This will be the bulk of it. I hope you enjoy. Assassin's Creed Origins has been a blast going hands-on with it, and I hope this video kind of captures why that is. It's very varied. The open world gameplay is super addictive. You just always have something to do, and it's always fascinating. If nothing else, there's the allure of loot. And loot is such a nice, simple concept to bring to Assassin's Creed, but man, does it ever work. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll see you later.
storm coming.
Trouble!
Praise
Follow
the
me!
gods, I live.
Wind is picking up. Not good.
Keep the Gideon safe.
Sandstorm coming.
Away, you blasted river pigs! These bloated lake cows! Help me drive them off! What are you called?
Bayek.
Good to meet you, Bayek. I am Jeska.
How did you end up here?
I got lost. Sailed the wrong way.
I would not call avoiding Sefetu's patrols the wrong way.
What do you know of Sefetu?
Hakuf believed you are dead, but you escaped. He needs you back.
Help me get these supplies to my village. There are many depending on me. And we will talk. How do you know Hakuf?
I was sent to him by a man to whom I am pledged. I believe we are working towards the same end.
Well, Hakuf is a great man. Though Sais is a region of self-proclaimed great men. But Hakuf has a good heart. He cares for his people and his city.
Yes. He protects them from cowards like the Scarab and Sefetu.
I have smuggled many families like poor Wenis and her son out of Sais to keep them safe. Those who have tried to refuse Sefetu, he has burned to death.
You are courageous to protect families that are not your blood.
If you say. I hide them in my village until we can arrange a caravan to get them beyond the desert. Hence the food and medicine I bring.
How did you survive?
Sefetu soldiers brought me to Fort Nikio where they burned and tortured me. But I spat in their faces. When they thought me broken, by the gods, Sefetu has come! No! No! Pentu! Anan! Wenis!
I should not be seen in this area.
What is this?
Stay here. Let me take care of them.
Gone. I have to keep my eyes open, though.
Hey! Hey, what? Going to gut you! Don't you want...
Alarm! Over here!
You're dead! Dead, you shit! Hey! Hang on!
You should not be here.
There you are!
It is done.
So many lives turned to ash. Is anyone left?
We need to be quick. More will come.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Pentu! Oh, by the gods, you are still alive! I will not leave you here. My cousins have a farm nearby. It may be untouched. Please, help me bring Pentu.
Of course. I will take him.
Ipi! Abana! Thank you for Pentu's life.
I did nothing that you would not have done. He owes his life to you. This is not the end of it, however.
No. Those dogs still hunt for the prick master. I will go to Hakuf. We must find a way to peel Sefetu out of his shell and deal with
I
him.
cannot bring your people back from Duat, but I will help you avenge your village.